Brian Okamoto here alongside Brian Ortega, who fights at UFC Noche this weekend, of course, at the Sphere. And I got to say, man, late June, we did this. We stood right over there, and we did an interview.
Yeah.
That day, I was like, did I do something wrong with Brian? He looked low energy. He looked angry. Today, you come up with a big – it's just very different. Can you take us into, like, what you were dealing with, who you were at the end of June? What was that like trying to come here and do this?
I'll be honest with you, I have no idea. I was trying to get this just done with, over with. I don't know how to explain it. All I know is that I was 178. I got here, and I was already in like 60-something. So I was already going through it, and I was just surviving. I was on survival mode. That was it. I was just trying to get through the day, get the sweat that I had to get in, and still try to figure out a way. I was just stressed.
Mm-hmm.
Had to figure out a way to get 45 when I already weighed this much, and I lost that. It was a lot.
Yeah.
And then my energy just, I don't know what it was, dude. I was on autopilot.
Can you take us into like the mindset of what are you thinking of? Because like, not only do you got to make that weight and try to make that weight and put your body through all that, but then you got to fight another man the next day. Like, what was, I mean, like, were you kind of almost wanting to look for it? Like, we say all the time, like, oh, in MMA, you can find a way out if you want, and that's looked like as cowardly or something. But were you, like, almost hoping for a way out of that fight?
Not really, dude. We stayed up till 4 in the morning. Like, I was ready to go to 5, but when we looked at the weight and the projected time that we're going to try to lose it by and just cook me in, it's like, you're not even... You'll probably still be cutting weight after like the official weigh-ins, and when the time runs out, you'll still be in trouble. So we had to make a call. It's like, we're going to be in trouble even past 11 o'clock in the morning. We can't make it. And we settled for 55. I was like, done. Like, I thought I failed the mission. I was like, all right, I failed the mission. We couldn't get 45. I gave it a shot. They said, all right. He's down for 55, let's do it, done. Went a couple, like 2 pounds right back up. I was 153. I went to 55, drank like 2 pounds of fluid. I was like, hey, this is actually better. Done. Next day, try to weigh in, try to feel good, but I just wasn't there. Yeah, even the day of the fight, I don't know if you ever been sick before, where it's not to where like you're too like boohoo, but you don't have energy to leave the bed. Like just to go to the restroom is like, that's where I was. And then I have a whole arena waiting for me to go fight, and I'm like, no way, dude, I can barely go to the restroom right now with the energy I have. After a B12 shot, after some nitro cold brew, and a little more time to try to maybe eat or something, it was just a no-go.
And that's the part, too, that's wild because, like, you go through all this ordeal. Luckily, you know, I've heard you say that when you contacted the UFC, they understood. I mean, it was extreme circumstances, right?
Yeah.
But then it was like, okay, now you're out. But you're not out. Your name is kind of still there. And then people are talking about Dan Ige and everything. Like, what was the rest of that evening like for you, kind of knowing that, like, you were supposed to be there and, like, the world's watching, and then all of a sudden you're not there anymore?
It was a first in my life. It was a first. I never had experienced that, especially just feeling that way still, and then clicking the fight on the TV right there at the hotel, and watching the fight and watching everything and being like, okay, Danny, like, bro, my respect. Diego too, my respect, you know, for all that. But yeah, man, I was sitting there and I was like, you know, that should be me. That's kind of like what I was feeling. And then you hear, obviously, you know, the internet be the internet. So that was kind of bothering me a little bit because they thought that I cowered out. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have to make peace with the idea that people think that, you know.
Did that play any factor into you taking this fight again? Yeah,
that's kind of like the fire that lit me back up. It's like, oh, if I saw, from my fans, clearly they're just very supportive, but then when you go and look at other pages and then you see like the commentary there and you're like, all right, cool. A lot of people believe that he's going to take me out. A lot of people believe that I'm done now, or who knows, right? So it's like, hold up, okay, this is a perfect way to almost have some excitement back in the featherweight division for my career, which is like, because they told me that they didn't really have a fight for me. They said, we don't want you fighting guys who are high up the rankings like I'm doing now. But given the circumstances that was happening last time, and then the whole us weighing in, and now it made a story.
Yeah.
And now that there's a story, it's like, all right, now we have to finish the story.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's finish the story a couple days.
Yeah. So it's almost in a way like it all worked out. It's fortunate, right? Because you were kind of in no man's land. And I was going to ask you, like, you had already kind of made up your mind to go to 155. You had already even started to put on the weight. So then why go back? Like, why take this fight? Like, the only reason the fight came together was due to crazy circumstances anyway. But you did it so that you could show these people, like, I'm not running from Diego Lopes or anything. Is that kind of like, yeah?
Somewhat that, but the fact that people are thinking that there's going to be it's going to be a banger. So, you're like, all right, cool. It's like that passing of the guard fight. People are like, all right, we think you're done. It's like, all right, cool. I'm here to remind you.
Does he bring a level of when's the last time you were going into a fight where you're like, this guy is just as dangerous as he is in the first round, especially in the first round? Not to say that he's not dangerous the whole time, but is there another kind of level to that with him, or is it similar to some of these other guys?
I mean, I feel like I fought people in the same caliber, you know? I fought people even, I believe, a higher caliber. You know, I've been in there with the Max. I've been in there with Volk. I've been in there with my entire career was nothing but monsters. You know, it was right off the gate. It was Tavares, then Brandao, then Guida, then Moicano, then Cub, and it's just Frankie, Max, Volk, like Korean Zombie. I've been dealing with nothing but monsters basically my whole career. So this is nothing new to me.
Yeah. Last thing for you. You've been in 2 title fights, and I've seen, like, maybe this is in my head because, like, I've seen NFL guys who make it to the Super Bowl, and then once they make it, if they lose, they just have this, like, new respect for how hard it is to get there. You know, like, they come in the league and they're like, oh man, we're great, we're going to be the Super Bowl every year, and it's just hard. It is hard to get there. Like, have you felt that at all about, like, a UFC championship? And because you've been so close, do you feel closer to it, further away from it? Like, what is sort of like, what do you know about a UFC championship now as opposed to, like, maybe earlier in your career when you're like, I want to get this?
Well, my mentality was I really didn't have a good mentality going into my first title fight. As in terms of where I was mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, the people around me, right? It was we were just happy-go-lucky. We're happy to be here. Didn't never think we were going to get here, so everything was a celebration. It was just like we're just riding that high. And it was like, bro, we trained, like I said, you saw us, we trained in the garage, you saw us, I slept on the floor. You know what I'm saying? It was like, we didn't care. We were just happy to be at the party. The fact that my name is there at the party, I was like, that's a celebration. Once I lost to Max, and it was like, okay, then the realization came where there is levels. This is different. These guys don't play around. You thought that you ate and breathed training? No, you really don't, bro. These guys really do. So then I went back, and then I had to go and kind of put myself under construction and cut ties with people and realize what's holding me back and this and that. And I realized, one, ultimately as myself, but I had to start just cleaning up house for myself. Korean Zombie was the first fight after that. We saw the difference. But then they threw me right back into a title fight. And I wasn't sure if I was ready or not. But at the same time, when they say fight for the title, I'm not going to say no.
For sure.
We said yes. We saw that fight, the way it played out. And again, on that fight, I learned another lesson, where I was and why things happen the way they happen. And I said, okay, cool, we need more. You thought you gave it more, but it's not enough. It was almost enough, but that was even just in the 3rd round. That was a great 3rd round, and maybe the 5th round you were pushing, but you're still down 3 rounds to 2. So we have to go right back and learn more lessons, bro.
Yeah.
But I take it more. It's like I'm there. I take it as I'm there. I just need more. You know, and then if you could either get discouraged by it and say, well, you know what, from now on I'll just be a contender or someone that just fights in the top 10, gives everyone exciting fights, or I don't lose my mind or I don't lose sight of what I really came here for, which is that belt.
Yeah.
So if you really came here for that belt, I have to go back and just put a tremendous amount of work. And now that's where I'm finally at. I'm finally in a place where my living situation has no distractions. Everything is work.
Yep. Well, I'm happy.
You know?
I'm happy for you, man, that you can be here and enjoy this fight week and go into the fight 100%
last time,
healthy.
last time, I'm sorry, man. I have to apologize to everybody.
Don't apologize.
But yeah, I was like, hurry up, bro. Like, I gotta go. I don't even want to be here.
For sure. Well, and that's what makes me happy because this is a very important fight. It's crazy how this sport works, that it came together as a fight to kind of save a card, but now it's like a very important fight in the division.
Fight, yeah.
So can't wait for it, man. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you,
Appreciate
brother.
it.
Thank you.